All right, if you have ever built a backend with Node.js and Express, you know that amazing feeling of total freedom. But you probably also know the, let's call it chaos, that happens when that project really starts to grow. Well, today we're going to dive into the framework that's built to bring order to all of that chaos, NestJS. So let's kick things off with the core issue here, what I like to call the problem with freedom. Because as you're about to see, the one thing that makes Node and Express so appealing right out of the gate can actually become its biggest weakness down the line. And here it is, the cold, hard truth. Freedom just doesn't scale. I mean, what works perfectly for a solo developer hacking on a weekend project, it just completely falls apart when you add a team, new features, and the pressure of a real-world application. That beautiful flexibility, it starts to feel like a tangled, rigid mess. So how does this actually happen? Well, think about it. You go from one developer to 10. Suddenly, everyone has their own style, their own way of doing things. You've got inconsistent routing all over the place, dependency management becomes a total nightmare, and your code gets so tightly coupled that trying to write a simple unit test feels like performing brain surgery. And the result? We've all seen it, the dreaded spaghetti code.
You know, this quote just absolutely nails it. It illustrates the entire problem and the solution in one perfect sentence. Express gives you this incredibly powerful engine. There's no doubt about it. But without a steering wheel, you are going to crash as soon as you try to pick up speed. NestJS is that steering wheel. It gives you direction, it gives you control. Which of course brings us to our next big question. What exactly is NestJS? And we're going to stick with this analogy because it's just perfect. It really is the steering wheel for your Express or even your Fastify engine. So here's the most important thing to get right away. NestJS doesn't replace what you already know and love. It sits right on top of frameworks like Express, and it provides the one thing they're missing, architecture with the capital A. It's an opinionated framework, which means it guides you and your team to build things in a clean, consistent, and most importantly, scalable way. And hey, if you're coming from the front-end world, maybe you've used Angular or you've got a Java background with Spring Boot, you're going to feel right at home. The concepts of modules, decorators, dependency injection, all of that will make NestJS feel incredibly familiar. It's like putting on a comfortable pair of shoes. Okay, so how does it actually do all this? How does it provide that architecture? Well, it all boils down to three really simple core building blocks. Seriously, once you get these three things, you understand about 90% of what makes NestJS tick.
And here they are: controllers, providers, which you'll usually hear called services, and modules. Let's just break each one down with a really simple analogy. First up, controllers. The best way to think of a controller is like the receptionist at a restaurant. Their job is not to go in the back and cook the food. Nope. Their only job is to greet the customer, in our case, an incoming HTTP request, take the order, and pass it along to the kitchen. They handle the routing, and that's pretty much it.
And that, of course, takes us to the kitchen. This is where your providers or services live. This is where all the real work happens, all the heavy lifting. You know, fetching a user from the database, hashing a password, processing a credit card payment. All of that complex business logic lives right here, totally separate from all the routing stuff.
And finally, we have modules. A module is like the entire restaurant itself. It bundles a related set of controllers and services together into one single cohesive feature. So you'll end up with a users module for all your user stuff, a products module for products, an orders module for orders, and so on. This makes your code base unbelievably organized and so much easier to maintain.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, I get it, but I could organize my Express app like this if I really wanted to. And you know what? You could. But you'd be missing out on Nest's real superpower, the secret sauce that ties this all together, dependency injection. Just look at this comparison. On the left, in a typical Express app, right? If your user service needs the database, you have to manually import it, manage the connection, pass it all around. It's messy, and it makes your code super tightly coupled. But look at the right. With Nest, you just declare it. In the constructor, you just say, hey, I need the database service, and boom. The framework handles creating it and giving it to you. It's so clean, it's declarative, and it makes testing an absolute dream. So with all of that said, let's get to the bottom line, the final verdict. When should you actually reach for NestJS? Is it really the right tool for every single job out there? Honestly, this table lays it out pretty clearly.
If you're just building a small weekend project, a quick prototype, the extra setup in Nest might just slow you down. In that case, stick with the raw speed of Express. But, and this is a big but, if you are building a serious enterprise-level application with a team of developers, NestJS is without a doubt one of the best choices you can make in the entire Node ecosystem. It just delivers predictable, professional, scalable engineering. So to wrap it all up, let's just hit the key takeaways. 1. NestJS isn't a replacement for Express, it's a layer of much-needed architecture on top of it. 2. It organizes your code into those 3 pillars: controllers, services, and modules. 3. Its absolute superpower is dependency injection. And 4. It takes the potential chaos of a big JavaScript backend and turns it into something robust, predictable, and professional. And that brings us to one final question I want you to think about with your own projects. The next time you're celebrating the freedom of a framework with very little structure, just take a second to ask yourself, is what you have really freedom, or is it just chaos in disguise?